Time to round up another big topic. This week, State Senator Rodney Ellis presented a bill that would change what happens after grand jury proceedings. The bill would require not just witness testimony, but all proceedings of a grand jury to be recorded in officer-involved investigations. And if an indictment is not handed up, then the recording or transcription of those grand jury proceedings must be made public. So does this bill have a chance of passing? What would happen if it did? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you. Weigh in on our Fox 26 Facebook page or on Twitter. Use the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us live in the newsroom is our Roundup panel. It's led by our senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico. All right, so basically, Chris, no-billed officers would all proceedings would have to be released in this case if a cop shoots somebody and he's no-billed.
Right. There's two changes here that Senator Ellis's bill would make. First, it would require that a grand jury take down, either with a court reporter or a tape recorder, everything that happens in the grand jury room. That's their deliberations, their discussions with the district attorney. Anything that goes on has to be taken down in that grand jury. That is a major change in Texas law that's not required now for any other situation other than a police officer involved shooting. The second change is opening up the grand jury chambers that are by Texas law secret, opening that up when a grand jury issues a no-bill, a certificate of no-bill on an officer-involved shooting that involved a death. Now those grand jury proceedings have to be made public immediately. Two major changes in the law. Not sure how that's going to help solve problems. Let's talk about that right now. Let me introduce our panel. Mustafa Tamiz, our political analyst, Jackie Valley, public policy analyst. Jackie, we'll start with you. This is obviously in the wake of Ferguson and the other issues that have gone on nationwide with respect to police officers and the public's view that they are not being treated fairly by police officers. Is this a change that the Republican-dominated legislature in Texas is going to even look at?
No, and I want to start with your comment. This is not something that's going to help. I'm not saying there are not flaws in our police regulations and our legal system. However, we do need to stop our attack on police officers. And indirectly, this is, again, going in an attack of our police officers. The reason why all of these things are done not in the public's view is because you are looking at some very important information, and you also want to protect the identity of those who are looking at this information. We, for the most part, want to trust the people who are selected to be on these grand juries. We hope that they would make the right decisions. Of course, that doesn't always happen, but this is something that a lot of people go into with the good intention of looking at all the facts and trying to make the best decision that they can. And the fact that you're now saying, okay, every decision you make, every question you ask, everything will be made public, then you start thinking, okay, will I be attacked if I do something wrong, or will I be attacked if I say something that people don't like? And that really, when you open it up to the public, you're doing a disservice to those people who are putting their time in this system.
What about that? First, we don't have time to get into the key man selection system that's also being attacked, but what about that? I mean, is the legislature likely to take this up? Rodney Ellis, of course, a Democrat. I don't know how many co-sponsors he has for this, but the bill's been filed. Do you think the Republican-dominated legislature will look at this? And second is, if it does pass, is it going to help?
Well, first, Senator Ellis should be commended for what he's trying to do. He's trying to bring some credibility to the system that is not credible anymore to many people. And so when we start talking about that people are meeting in a secret room, having a secret conversation that will completely exonerate someone from the legal process is problematic, to say the least. It's not just about Ferguson, it's not just about individual cases, but the litany of cases that we've seen with police officers. There is a problem with African American and minority communities and police departments across the country. And it begins with not having confidence when there's a police shooting that police officers not being indicted. And so how do you bring confidence to a system that people don't have confidence in? You bring transparency. Every legal case, whether it's a murder case or not, is done in a public way.
Not the grand jury.
Well, I understand that, and that's my thing. Other than the grand jury, everything is done in a public way. So to say to protect people's identities or to protect the process, if it works for the legal system, if it works for the trial, why not the grand jury?
All right, let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, one of our loyal Sunday morning viewers, Ben, is up watching with us, and he says, I do think the documents should be released involving grand juries, but not just for officers, citing there the Freedom of Information Act. What do you think?
Well, let's talk about the history of the grand jury. The history of the grand jury is this is the place where we're going to vet out whether or not probable cause exists to move forward. And if probable cause doesn't exist, then why should a citizen be further scrutinized by the public? And I think that's historically that's the reason why the grand jury proceedings were secret. If someone didn't do anything wrong, then why are we going to allow the public and the media and people like us to further tarnish their reputation and their career? That's been the history of it. What we're seeing now with respect to these police officer shootings is we want more because we think the grand juries are selected in a fashion to protect the police. That's really what all this boils down to. I don't agree with Ben in making every grand jury proceeding public because there are people who shouldn't have to be held up to public scrutiny. Jackie Belli.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, again, the deeper message is we're saying we're attacking, again, the police officers who are putting their lives on the line to protect us. Again, I'm not saying every officer follows every regulation, but I'm saying if we want to open up the dialogue between African Americans or people of color, not just African Americans, Hispanics, whatever you are, and police officers, let's go into the community and do that. But by going into the grand jury system, that's not helping the situation. That's not helping the discord that you're seeing right now throughout the country. And my colleague mentioned about a litany of cases. Thank goodness we've been blessed in Texas. We have not seen a litany of cases. Again, do we have some issues that within the legal system, the police system? Yes, and let's go and look at that. But by going into the grand jury system, grand jury process specifically and making that public, that does not resolve anything.
Final thought, we're almost out of time.
We've had lots of cases in Texas, and just right here in Houston, I remember the Chad Holly case. So there has been a number of cases that you wonder, once the doors close in the grand jury and there's a no bill that's given, what happened? Because the evidence is contrary to it in many situations.
So we're going to see where this bill goes. I don't know if it's going to get a hearing this session, and it may be 2 years before it comes back up, but we'll see where it goes.
All right, we appreciate the discussion.